Alright folks, Kirby Sora here to finally, at long last, make a comprehensive tutorial for the Terra category in BBS, the world record route. This route is incredibly challenging. I would highly recommend that you do not start with this route unless you are already extremely experienced and knowledgeable about BBS. It is very challenging. The old route is challenging enough, but this route is just on another level, and beyond the challenge, it's also there's just a string of fights that are almost entirely luck based. So you know this is a pretty tough route. But if you get consistent enough with it, you're likely to be able to more or less consistently get sub 50 runs if you can keep the deaths down. So for anybody that's looking for some top spots on the leaderboard, this is a good way to do it. Plus, personally speaking, just to sell it a little bit, I think this is some really fun stuff. I think Terra has become a very interesting speedrun. I know not everybody agrees, but I think it's extremely fun to play, to run this route. I think it's, not that this really matters, but I think it's a lot better for viewers. It's a more interesting run, and there's some, you know, we're gonna go, in this tutorial, we're gonna go really in depth on some stuff, so, you know, bear with me. At risk of over-explaining, I'm gonna try to give out as much information as I can about everything I have learned about this category, everything I've learned about this game in the space of this tutorial. So I guess let's dive in. As with all characters, we start with orbs. I am kind of making this tutorial under the assumption that that this is not your first PBS category, and that you have a you know, basic understanding of the mechanics of this game, and which of those mechanics are important for speedrunning. So I'm not going to go into like command melding or how exactly, you know, D-Link stuff works. That's stuff that people should more or less already know. And orbs is an example of that. I'm sure most people will already know the basics of Terra's orbs, but so we'll keep this a little bit loose. Want to slide this way. 1, 2, slide. Finisher. Just knock that one out. We're going to shot lock this one. I like to charge a 10 shot lock here. Just gives Ven and Aqua a little bit extra time to do damage. Go over here, target this one. Quick blitz. And now we just finish things off. And for the last orb, I tend to like to do a shot lock. The orbs are notoriously difficult to hit with regular actions, but also commands. We're going to be skipping some cutscenes here. Now we're going to go into the menu, go into abilities, and we're just going to turn on 0 EXP, and then we're going to go into the D-Link, and we're going to press triangle to turn off Ven. We no longer need Ven D-Link in this run, and it is certainly in our best interest to have Aqua at the top of our D-Link list. That's actually really important. It is more than worth taking the extra time to go into this menu. I suppose it is technically optional, but I would be shocked if it actually ends up saving time to skip this part of the menu. So definitely do this. It's going to make your life so much easier. Alright, we are headed into Enchanted Dominion. Like every Terra crit world, it starts off with a forced fight. Our goal in this forced fight is going to be getting 2 D-Link drops for Aqua. We absolutely need 2. We cannot continue the run if we don't have 2. As long as you have 1, you can grind. You need 2 for Wheelmaster. The Wheelmaster strat can only work with D-Link level 2. You can grind if you get 1, because you'll have a Magnet and a Thunder, so, you know, it's not that tough to grind things on the way to Wheelmaster. But ideally, you definitely want to see 2. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go straight into D-Link and then fire off a Thunder, which should hit all of these floods. Thunder. And then we're going to do 1-2 hits, and then slide away to the next flood to do the finisher, and that's how we figure things out. Now this wave, we're going to do 1-2 Thunder. 1-2 hit, Blizzard, finisher. Unfortunately, we're not looking very good for D-Link drops. We just wanted to have seen one by now. Oh, that happened faster than I'm used to. Okay, we got 1. And no orbs to reset this. Hopefully this 1 flood gets me a D-Link drop. Oh my goodness, I think it did. It did! Wow! So like I said before, you really want to get those D-Link drops. I mean, as long as you get 2, you really got nothing to be that upset about. But you want to get a D-Link drop as early as possible in that fight, just so you can start Magnet Thundering things. It's a lot faster. But, you know, the way that played out, you know, it's fine. Probably lost 10-15 seconds off an optimal fight, but at least we can continue the run. So let's go. One thing we get to do with this route is we get to skip just lots of stuff. So you'll probably notice I skipped the potion in that first room. I'm about to skip the blizzard in this room. We just need a lot less pickups to afford our shops with this route. It's one of the little things that makes it nice. When a sliding dash into that first wave there, slide dash and then canceling into regular dash is the fastest form of movement in this game. Oops. I want to jump over that railing. 2, 3, sliding dash. We're just making our way to the boss now. We have everything we need for it, so... Final slide dash into the load zone. Okay, so Wheelmaster. This is a pretty tricky fight when you're first learning it. I tend to think once you have a good handle of it, it becomes like a top 3 consistent fight in the run. It's not that scary. But when you're first learning it, it seems like it's really inconsistent. But there's lots of ways that you can get out of jams here. So let's dive into the fight. The beginning is pretty easy. First things first. Just going to walk forward. I'm going to get a target on the main body of the boss, and then I'm going to go into D-Link, and then I'm going to mash out a full combo. Forward target, Aqua, 1, 2, 3, slide back, Blizzard. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, Mind Square in the air, slide back, Blizzard, slide forward, Fire Strike. So what we're actually doing here is we're keeping Wheelmaster in a loop. As long as you're like right next to Wheelmaster, he can only do his swipe attack. He can't jump away. He can't do anything else. So just to keep things consistent and to keep Wheelmaster static, it's really important to keep up that loop. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get close to him and I'm going to fire off the finisher. I'm trying to get to a specific HP level here. I want him to be like just under that first bar. So you want to kind of pay attention here. There's 3 parts of the Aqua finisher. If you get to that HP spot that you want to be in after the first 1 or 2, just cancel the rest of the finisher. Just stop pressing buttons. Unfortunately, his other parts have a tendency to tank D-Link hits, and that can be a problem, but it's not a big deal. Okay, now that we've fired off the finisher, we want to get him into his charging phase. He's a couple hits away from that. We also have to build up another finisher, because that's what we'll use to kill him. So the way we want to do this is we want to walk in, magnet, hit, thunder, and then fire strike. And that should do it. And he'll turn purple. That's how you know he's in phase 2. You will take damage there, but it's not really a huge deal. Then you want to create some distance. I do 3 dashes away from him and navigate over to Mind Square. And you just gotta time this a little bit. I timed it pretty poorly there. Oh no, I killed one of the parts. You never see that. But it wasn't a huge deal. I think people get the idea there. Okay, moving on to Dwarf Woodlands. Here in this first room, we can do some nifty movement, just kind of dash diagonally like that, and you don't even have to jump. You can just target and shot lock into that pot, and it will volley you across the room, just like you saw. Sometimes I like to get this potion. I should note that my item route, I'm relying on RNG and drops a little bit. Eventually, after this world, we're going to have to do a shop, and we're going to need to buy some things. And occasionally, I am short on one of those things. I guess I'll talk about this more later, but all of this is to say, if you are worried about money safety, there is an ether in the hallway right before Wheelmaster. And if you pick that up, you'll never have money problems, I think. Speaking of money, we have to pick up Fishin' Fraga here. You can just kind of squeeze your way onto that platform and then sliding dash across. And now we're headed into the forced fight for Dwarf Woodlands. Okay, so most of Terra's forced fights start with a wave of floods. Floods can be really nasty because of the fact that they can go into the ground, and when they are in the ground, you can't trap them in magnets, you can't hit them. It's just, they can be a real pain in the ass. But we do have a way to fairly consistently, not completely consistently, trap all of these floods in a magnet right away. It's some very cool tech discovered by the great Terra crit runner Texas Grandma. Basically, what we're going to do is, the way I set this up is, as soon as I gain control of Terra, I'm going to throw a target on a flood and then immediately go into Aqua D-Link. Then I'm going to take a couple steps back and then I'm going to fire off the magnet. And as long as none of the floods go into the ground in that, like 2 or so seconds it takes to get this set up, you will capture all of the floods in your magnet. So let's see if we can manage that. Like I said, it doesn't always work. Target, Aqua, magnet. There we go. We got them all. So at this point, you can use a Thunder, you can use a Mind Square. It doesn't really matter. Either will take these guys out. Oh no, one of them did get away. That's fine. He's gonna get into the magnet now because I dropped mine squares. It'll die. But I'm gonna go out of Aqua, and then I'm gonna get back into D-Link. And that refills all my commands. Make sure this bunny is in the magnet before you do your thunder. He'll get in here eventually, I think. Yep, there we go. Drop a mine square. That didn't play out exactly the way I wanted to, but we're okay. Just need to spawn this next wave. There we go. And then final wave. Oops. And we missed this guy, but that's okay. One thing to note, if you get the chance, you want to get out of D-Link before that fight ends. Only so that you have a chance to refill your D-Link meter in the cutscene. I have had situations where I've not had we need D-Link to be full for the next fight. So, you know, something to keep in mind. At this point, we're just headed to the boss. Okay, here we are at Magic Mirror. This is an incredibly RNG-centric fight. There's 4 specific patterns that he can give you, and one of them will give us a quick kill. The other 3, well, 2 of them are almost entirely useless. Another one also has a quick kill, but it's luck-based. But before we even get to that point, we have to charge up an Aqua D-Link finisher, so the opening combo for that is going to look like this. Slide forward, 1, 2, quick blitz, sliding dash, go into Aqua, Blizzard, Fire, Thunder, hit, Fire Strike, then hit, Blizzard. Alright, now we want to see him sort of go up in the air. That is not what he's doing. So let's see. Okay, he's gonna do this. We just have to find the real one. And I'm just gonna hit him once and hope he gives me the good RNG now. He is. Okay, so as soon as you see him choose this pattern, you want to fire off those mine squares and then step back to about here, fire off the magnet, and go. And we'll see. I didn't quite get it. You can kill him right there, but my timing must have been a little bit off. It's incredibly specific timing, but I was pretty close, so. Alright, now before the next world, we're going to revisit the courtyard, so we can do this shop. We're going to sell Quick Blitz, Sliding Dash, Fishin' Faraga, and all of our items. And we're going to buy 2 fires, 2 thunders, 3 magnets, and 2 binds. Now, as I was saying before, sometimes you're not going to have quite enough money for that last bind if you take risky choices on which chests you want to open like I do. But you do have a chance to get a bind drop in the next world prior to when we're actually going to need to put the binds in our deck. So, there's a little bit of leeway on that, but it is, it is luck-based. So we're done with our shop. Now we're just going to do a menu. We're going to put some of these commands into our deck. And it's going to be 3 magnets, 0 gravity, and 2 thunders. And now we're going to head into Castle of Dreams. So same opening here as the last forced fight. We're going to try to trap all these floods into a magnet. Drop a mine square, and if this works, yep, the next wave just goes right into that mine square. Magnet, mine square, thunder, blizzard. That fight can be really, really slick and really fast, but if those floods don't get into that first magnet, it gets so slow. Alright, continuing on. Here in this room, I guess I'll show this. I don't really believe in it, but there's a pulsing crystal here. We very badly need a pulsing crystal later in the run. It is really difficult to imagine a situation where you would not get a pulsing crystal as a drop in Terra's campaign. That's not quite the same in Aqua's campaign, and I'm not sure about Ven, but in Terra Crit, we just fight so many things that drop pulsing crystals that the chance you wouldn't have one by the time you need one, I just think is so low. But if you want to play it safe, there is a pulsing crystal here, and we do need it. So anyway, now we're going into Cinderella Escort. This is a pretty tough fight. I'm going to show off what I do here. It's a little different than what I think any other runner does, but I can confirm that it is the fastest way to get through the fight. First things first, we've got these floods to deal with. We're going to walk forward, then slide forward, and fire off a zero gravity. Hopefully they all get caught. They did. Here we can just target one of these guys, get him in there. Yeah, that's fine. Oh wait, yeah, that'll be okay. Here we just do 2 magnets, and then the boots. Go right into the magnet. You can finish them off with the finisher. Now for this final wave, I'm gonna push that pepper with my body a little bit, and then do 2 hits. You want to hit at least one of the scrappers with your basic hits. That's what makes this work. Now we're going to do Thunder, Thunder, Zero Gravity, and Finisher. And we got a Fleeting Crystal drop, which is excellent. We need as many of those as we can possibly get. Here in this room, we want to trap all 3 of these bruisers in 2 magnets. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to target this one, then target swap, then magnet. Then I'm going to walk over here, target this guy, and 1, 2, thunder. And hopefully that scrapper doesn't get caught in the bruiser magnet, but as you can see, it can happen. But it's not too difficult to adjust. Just make sure you're standing close enough to the scrapper that's sort of outside of this wave that it's going to get picked up by the magnet. And this guy, yep, there we go. So we're all good there, and just finish him off with a magnet. The rest of this is really easy. Basically just magnet thundering things. In this one case, I prefer to use basic finisher. These boots, by the way, are the things that can drop the bind. So you see I got one there, so if I hadn't been able to afford a bind, I would have been fine. Final wave here. I think this wave is optional. I prefer to kill it. First of all, because it's fun, but second of all, because you have more opportunities for drops, and that's actually pretty... It's extremely important, actually, in this category. So I target that one, and then Thunder, then 2 magnets, and then Finisher. Proving my point, I just got 2 drops that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And it was a Wellspring Crystal and a Pulsing Crystal, which are very valuable. Alright, moving along. There's a Soothing Crystal in this chest. We do need at least 1 Soothing Crystal. I actually prefer to have 3 for reasons that I'll talk about later. So generally speaking, you know, I tend to pick this up. It doesn't take that much time. So there is a shop here, so if you were unable to buy a second bind earlier and you didn't get any drops during Escort, you can just buy one here. It loses like 5 seconds. It's really not that bad. We need to pick up this Thunder in the corner. We always need to pick that up. Alright, heading into Symphony Master. This is the one and only time I am going to say this during this tutorial. This fight is really easy. It's a completely consistent fight, and if you already know the route, you probably already know how, or if you already know older routes, you probably already know how to handle this one, because I think it is the only fight that has not changed at all in the last 2 years. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go into Aqua D-Link, and then Thunder, Mind Square, Blizzard, and I kind of get around him like this, and that creates a pretty efficient window to fire off all these finishers. Fire off Magnet while you're falling, wait for him to finish this. Oops! Oh, that's not good. I think it'll be fine. There we go. This isn't exactly going as planned at all, but it worked out. What happened there, just in case anybody doesn't know, is I jumped the gun on firing off my Thunder, and I got hit by his like purple damage phase there. That can happen. My least favorite mechanic in this game is that if you go to fire off a command, but you get hit before the command actually happens, not only will the command not happen, but also it will immediately go on reload, which I just think is really unfair. But in that particular situation, it wasn't a run ender, so we get to continue. We're headed into Mysterious Tower now. We've got a menu here. We're going to slide forward and then do the menu. The way I do this is I do Thunder, Fire, Fire, Bind, Bind, Counter Hammer, and Air Slide. Some runners prefer to make a Magnera at this point. You do have the ingredients for that. I think it would be, you'd meld Magnet and Thunder for that. One of the Thunders that's already leveled up, obviously. It's a little bit slower, but it does make the next forced fight a little bit more consistent, which, you know, can be a huge boon because, I mean, we'll talk about it in a second, but the opening of the next force fight is pretty dastardly. So let's just get to it, I guess. I have a bunch of cutscenes to skip now. Alright, I guess I'll start talking about the forced fight that's about to happen. Just like in the previous two forced fights, we have to get all of these floods into our magnet, but it's more important than ever that it works, because the wave after these floods, we need them to get into that magnet too. And if any of these floods don't make it in, the magnet's going to expire by the time that second wave spawns in, and that can make things really fucky. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
Gather. Thunder.
Okay, we're good.
Gather.
All right. 2 magnets here, even though you only need 1. It's a command points thing. And then here for that magnet, I want the magnet. I want to get that magnet pretty much on top of one of these circles in the ground. It's just gonna the next wave, there are these 4 chilies, and if you've got a magnet there, 2 of them are immediately going to be pulled into the magnet, and they'll be killed by the finisher I'm about to fire off, which just makes things actually quite a bit faster. Because the final... Oh, I forgot to thunder these dudes. So make sure to do that. That's unfortunate. You can see how much time it takes to kill these things if they don't, you know. You know what? I'm going to start this over, actually. I want to show this fight right. It's a pretty cool one, so, Alright, we got all the floods again. And we got all these guys, 2 magnets. Thunder. Aqua. Thunder. Finisher. And you can see how tight that is because I thought the magnet was in a pretty good spot there, but I still only got 1 of the chilies into it, so, you know, the more aligned with that circle you are, the better. But that's not too bad a situation that just played out. So now I'm going to dash into the middle of the arena. I'm going to drop that mine square, and then immediately after a magnet. Hopefully none of those things will be canceled, because we'll be in a lot of trouble if they are. The purpose of the mine squares... Oh! This dude didn't get into the magnet. That's fine. Just take him out. That force fight is extremely difficult. I think it's probably the hardest one. It's very technical, and if, you know, there's 2 major things that can go wrong. The floods not getting into your magnet at the beginning of the fight, and having your magnet canceled at the end of the fight. And both of those situations are basically GG. Sorry to say, but there's not really any like very good backups for those things. You're looking at a, you know, 15, 20 seconds of time loss if either of those things happen. If not a death, for that matter. Alright, so let's continue on, I guess. Just want to point out that there's a shimmering crystal right here. We're going to need a couple of... We're going to put some abilities on some commands that we meld momentarily, just so that we can sell them for a higher value later. So we need some junk crystals that we wouldn't use for anything else. Basically anything that's not a fleeting crystal or a pulsing crystal. Although we only need 1 pulsing crystal. We need as many fleeting crystals as humanly possible. But we only need 1 pulsing crystal. So, you know, if you happen to notice, I personally am very bad at tracking this in the course of attempts. But if you notice that you're running low on crystals, you need 3 total that you wouldn't use for anything else, you can go ahead and pick up the shimmering crystal. It can help out. Alright, moving on. Now, if we did that forced fight correctly, and I think we should be in good shape for it, we're going to get early levels in this room. And we'll know if we're on track for that if we get fires here, and we did. Excellent. So we're going to be able to skip a wave in this room. If you're familiar with the run, you probably know that we typically kill 3 of these, but we're going to get our bind levels after this wave, so that's pretty cool. And we got another fleeting crystal, very nice. And now we're going to do a whole bunch of melds. Before I do, just to give a little bit more context, the reason that the early levels thing is possible is because we put that extra magnet on that second wave of enemies. Remember how I said we didn't actually need that second magnet? The reason we do that is because it maximizes our CP a little bit. enough so that we can skip the third wave here. Okay, so here are our melds. We can press triangle to just filter for the things that can actually be used. First thing we're going to make is a stun edge and magnet, and we're going to put a fleeting crystal on this. Then fire bind and a soothing crystal. Then another fire bind. I put nothing on this and hope for a lucky magic haste. Didn't happen, but that's okay. Thunder, and this is the point where we're gonna start putting abilities on things just so that we can sell them later. None of these things matter, but like I said earlier, I like to have as many HP boosts as possible. So I'm first gonna use a soothing crystal. It'll give me another HP boost. And thunder and magnet. And I'll use a hungry crystal. Treasure magnet can be of value as well. And then finally zero gravity and magnet, and we'll put another hungry crystal on that. And then our deck is going to be Magnira, Thundara, Thunder Surge, Ignite. And because we don't need to kill that last wave, we can just skip right over to this platform. And we're headed towards Trinity. I'm going to show... I guess I'll do this. I'm going to show a very, very difficult kill that you can get on Trinity with this deck. You don't have to do this, but the time save is enormous. So we'll see if this plays out. It's pretty new strat. It's only a couple days old. I don't have a lot of experience with it yet. I'm sure that there are some kinks that still need to be worked out, but we'll give it a shot. So our immediate goal here is to get into the Firestorm command style and to build up a finisher. So we're gonna slide in, target the foot, fire off an ignite, and then just commands. And then after this Thundara, we'll get our style change, slide away, Thunder Surge, and if you're short on command meter at that point, sometimes the Thunder Surge tops you off, but sometimes you need to fire off an ignite or even do like a regular hit or something just to get that finished up. But you need to have the Firestorm finisher ready by the time he does his third dash. And immediately prior to him doing that third dash, you want to try to get a target switch onto the hand, like you see there. Slide away, and I'm going to position myself like this. And the goal is to get as much damage on the hand as possible. We'll switch to Thunders, then Magnet. And there go the legs. 2, 3, Thunder Surge. Now I'm going to slide away. I'm going to wait a little bit because what I want to have happen now is I want to kill the arms right after they start moving. You want to predict this. You don't want to react to it. But basically, we want the arms and the head to start their next attack pattern, and then for the arms to die as soon as they make that decision, because the head will be locked into doing that attack for a little bit, rather than just going immediately into the white lasers. And that gives us, and more importantly, our party, a chance to beat up on the head a little bit. Before the final laser. So I'll fire this off now, I think. Yeah, it was a little early. That's what you don't want to see happen. I'm gonna take a death, I think. Just so I can try to show this right. Pretty self-explanatory what you would do at this point. Basically just do commands and hit it until it dies. If you end up in that situation, but that's not the situation you want to be in, so I'll give this one more try. Was just a little bit early on that Firestorm finisher. They hadn't made the decision to start that attack pattern yet.
Fire! Gather! Gather! Thunder! Thunder!
damage should be good.
Thunder. Gather.
Nice. There we go. Ignite, and Thunder. Thunder. Ben's helping me out. Aqua was a little bit late. Guard, and you want to counter hammer this stuff. This is a little bit dangerous. Stand here, Thunder Surge in the air, hit, magnet, get the target back, and fire off the finisher. And there you go. He's dead. And that's the fastest way to do the fight. It saves like maybe 15 seconds over what we had been doing as of like last week. Alright, I think I'm going to take a little break here, so I'll be back in part 2. Thanks so much for joining so far. I hope this has been informative, and stay tuned.